Bula from Fiji. Do I look like I'm in Fiji? No, I'm not. But I have been. I've been there for 9 days with my family. So if you'd like to see what I took, what art I did, and what art supplies I didn't use, please stick around. Okay, but before I put the webcam on so that it's shining down onto the table, I'm starting to lose light, as you can see behind me. So I just want to show you a couple of the big items that I took with me that are going to be too big to show you from the desk. So this was the first one, this thing here. This is a quite a difficult cable that I use for my GoPro. So GoPro, it sits on this end, and this is the really strong clasp that sticks to things, but it will stick to, say, a table bench, and the weight of a GoPro, which is not big, will just sort of like turn it down. So it's not great, but I still wanted to take it with me. And then the other things that I took with me that I'm going to lift everything up so you can see how much I took. But a couple of things, one being this thing. And the second one being this. Oh, I nearly hit myself with it. That's just a tripod for your phone. This one's broken. The one that I took, I'm using right now. But that's what it looks like. That's the size of it. And then this one in here is a little stand for my GoPro, similar to the big arm, I guess they're called. But this one was actually really small. So I will show you that. Actually, I'll just show it to you now. I'll get it out of its package. So basically, there's another big strong clasp that you can attach to tables. And then this is the mount, and as you can see, it's really small. So I've got something that's a little bit too big and something that's a little bit too small. Not ideal, but anyway, I still use this though. So what I'll do quickly now before we go to the webcam is, without dropping it, I'm going to drop it, and I don't want to. So there was these on top, which I'll show you, which is a sketchbook, a pencil case, and watercolors. And then I'll lift the rest up, and it's all there. So all of that is what I took to Fiji. It's actually quite heavy. Most of it was in my hand luggage, apart from these big silly items, which I didn't use. Anyway, let's go to the webcam and have a look at everything that I took with me, the art I did, and the art supplies that I didn't use. All right, so apart from the GoPro arms that I showed you, this is everything now laid out, ready to look at. So where do we start? This is what I packed. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's heavy. I'm going to say about 5 kilos, eek, probably. Let's go through it. Let's go through the art supplies first, and then we'll look at the sketchbooks. So before we get into the art supplies, I did forget about the GoPro, which is obviously my other camera. So I had my iPhone and I have my GoPro. And the GoPro has its own little box because it comes with all its accessories. So, and that's probably a good kilo and a bit just in that. So I'll put that aside now and we'll get into the art supplies. So there we go. Looks pretty compact. Like, there's the size of my hands. Do have big hands. Let's start with this here right now. One of the watercolor sets. Yeah, they're just, it's called an ocean art set. So put that one down there. Here is something I didn't use at all. Tombow markers. So the dual tip Tombos. There's probably about 10 of them in there. I pretty much, I put too many in. I couldn't do up this little case. So I then had to eliminate colours. I'll get them all out so you can see what colours I brought with me. You've got to pack them up the other way as well, so to save room. So there were the colours that I took with me, but didn't use any of them. At least they don't weigh too much. This pencil case, did use pencils from it. So this pencil case included the Koi brush tip pens, which is similar to the Tombows because they're watercolour as well, but they only have the brush tip, not a fine tip on the other end, but I do like using them. So a few of them came with me, as well as other pens which I just happen to have in this pencil case. This pencil case never gets unpacked, apart from the coloured pencils which I added to it. So there we go, there's the contents of that one. You got your Koi markers, you have some graphic line painter pens, which is a fine tip. I loved using these for doodling, but I haven't used them in years. They're like a mini Posca pen. I don't know if they are waterproof or not though. Water-based pigment painter. Yeah. Yep. And then we've got some little jelly roll pens. These are so fun to use. And again, I didn't use them, but they are beautiful because they're like a glitter that you can put into your doodling artworks. The one thing I did use was my coloured pencils, which are the Faber-Castell Polychromos. I didn't use all of them, but I did. You'll see in my artworks that I did. They are the ones that I used. So of all of that there, I'm not going to put them all back into the pencil case at the moment. I'm just going to shove them out of the way there. I'll put that back down there. And then we get into my favourite pencil case for travelling with. So this pencil case comes with 2 more of these, which I have taken out. They just Velcro in there, purely because I like to have the space for other pencils, etc. In the front pocket is the viewfinder. Yes, I used that. I've shown you this in other videos as well. It's just a piece of cardboard with the square and the rectangle out, so you can do it portrait ways or rectangle, and of course you've got your square there as well. These, now I don't have my pen on me, but these are the Lumos, which is the Tom's pen, which I might pause the video and go and grab the pen because it's important, because I did use it. Alright, so here is my yummy pen. I say yummy because it is. It cost me a lot of money. They come in different colours. This is the single. You can have ones with another tip the other end, but basically these are calligraphy ink. You put the cartridge into your bottle and it will absorb, and rather than a calligraphy steel nib, you have a felt tip to it. Now what I love about this pen is that it comes with a little clasp so that you can actually pull the nib out of here, out of the barrel. But what I love about it is that I don't tear anything. Ooh. Hope I didn't just lose a nib then. It comes with all these nibs and little brush pen tips as well. So I don't know if you can see that little tip there. So that's feels like a fibre, a compressed felt fibre or something. Then I've got a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 nib there. I'm using a 0.3 because I didn't realise that I got this whole range with it, and I actually bought some 0.3s and some 0.2s. So I've got plenty of nibs to draw with. The only problem with this is that you can't do doodling where you know you're going to put watercolour over the top of it, because it's calligraphy ink. They'll only take calligraphy ink, and if you use a acrylic ink, there is binder in it that will stuff up the nibs, and I don't want to do that. I don't know if I dropped a little nib, but we'll see. Okay, so yes, I did use my beautiful pen that I love. Here is my Neo 2 pastels or crayons. I have about, I don't know, 10, 15 of them. Didn't use them, but they just live in there. Like, they never come out. So I'm okay about the fact that I didn't use them. This side here, apart from a couple of watercolor pencils, I've got one pastel pencil, my mechanical pencils in 3 different weights, and then that one I had to shove it in really quickly at the end. 2H, HB, and a 4B. I used the 2H and the HB on that. Didn't use my little paper blender, any of my mechanical pencils, or any of the watercolors. This side I did use one of my Luminance pencils by Caran d'Ache, the blue one. Did not use any of these. These are also the Faber-Castell Albert Dürer, which are your watercolor pencil, and I'll explain why when you see my artwork I didn't use these. And there's one pencil that was in with that set there. Actually, I've got to keep that out because I'm halfway through an artwork. Kneadable eraser, can't go anywhere without that. This is my Winsor & Newton watercolor set, which I used a lot of. That's still the original colors that are all in there. And sorry, let's cut that and start again. These are all my Winsor & Newton, I've opened it. So we'll just go back to this. And then I've got my Winsor & Newton watercolours, which I've had for now 30 years. They are the original colours that came in this set, and I really need to just bite the bullet and change some of the colours, because I've got colours that I just don't want to have in there. I've got 2 browns, and I try to make a dark, I don't ever like black paint, but I want a dark colour, and the dark blue and the dark brown, I don't know what colours they actually are, but I just don't ever get what I want from them. So I think I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and replace some of the little pans in there. But I use that a lot. My gouache travel set. Come out. So there's the gouache. Did I use this? Yes, I did. I did use it a couple of days, I think. I love this set. I love gouache. I love painting with it. Yes, you have a very different inconsistency. Some that don't crack at all, like the grey, and others that just have crumbled, and I accidentally tilted this one day when I was using it, and the yellow went everywhere. But thankfully yellow is a colour that other colours like, so all was good. Yeah, so that's my little travel gouache set, and this I used a lot, which is my little bucket. So love that set, use it a lot. If I had to only take one thing with me, it would be that, along with the supplies. Yes to the paper clips. They are because of if it's windy. Pencil sharpener, little eraser, didn't use that. There's my little bottle of calligraphy ink for my pen. Washi tape, used that. And then, this is my little piece of paper towel, which really needs to be replaced now. Always have a paper towel in there. Pens, did not use any of my drawing pens. So I took a selection of my Pigma Micron, and I think there's some uni balls in there as well. Uni pin. Yeah, so I didn't use any of those pens at all. Only used my Tom's Lumos brush. I then have, I'm just getting rid of the pens. I did take a lot of pens. I do love drawing just in black pen. That pencil's in there because I am not finished with it, and you'll see that artwork. Brushes, I did take extra brushes because I knew that I wanted to have the weights of those. And I need to find these brushes in some flats. So range of brushes, did use probably all of them, I think. Then these, then a Posca pen, a white Posca pen. You've got to have a white Posca pen. Definitely got to have a aqua brush. And then these, I used this one mostly, the large one, which is just a travel brush. So they're just in 3 different sizes, and again, these just stay in this kit. They'll go everywhere with me. The only things that I ever replace in this kit is I will usually have some pan pastels sitting here, and I will change the colours of my Faber-Castell in the watercolour, and I'll usually have a couple of the just polychromos in there as well. So I'll usually put the polychromos in this side and just have a small selection of them there. Is that it? Is that all the supplies? So what I used and what I didn't use, it's kind of half-half. I was pretty happy with, I used both of the watercolours there. So let's go on to the actual artworks that I did on my trip to Fiji. Alright, so here's the books that I took with me. Put them on the side there. As you can see, what have I got? 6 all up. So I think that's pretty good because I've got about 15 that I'm working in at the moment. They are all various. So we've got able to take a light wash, mixed media, light wash, watercolour, light wash. So that's what we got. Let's just eliminate the ones that I didn't use. How many do you reckon I didn't use out of 6? I'll let you know. I didn't use these 2. So they're the only 2 I didn't use. This one I've only ever used once. And that's what I did. And I did that about 6 years ago on a trip to Canada. And yeah, I just never finished it. And it was lovely. And I was planning on making this a doodling book, and it never went any further. So I think it will just be a watercolour book. This is my Royal Talons book. Did not use that one either. The one I used the most was this one, but I'll maybe show you that one last. And then these ones. So in order of use, my little, what's this one? This is Stillman and Byrne. The only one I did, that's my friend that I did at a cafe, is this From the Plane Window, Waiting to Take Off to Go to Fiji. So what happened is, as we were on the runway, there was a medical emergency, and it was 2 hours until we actually took off. So we were sitting out on the runway, the ambulance came, the paramedics boarded the plane, they took the gentleman off the plane, and they had to get his luggage out and all of that. So yeah, took 2 hours. So I just did that as we were sitting there waiting. But that's the only one I did, and that's a handy little sketchbook. I usually keep this one in my handbag. Then this one I did my only gouache painting, which was, it was starting to get dark, so the palette that I've used sort of reflects the time of day that it was. The water was not looking blue at all, it was looking quite silver. And the sky was starting to, the sun was setting, so, and the colours hadn't appeared. It was very overcast, so it was very grey looking. So I'm pretty happy with that little gouache painting, and it didn't take too long to do it either, which is not like me. This one, again, I only did one, but really loved what I did with this one. So this is watercolour and gouache. So watercolour being all the background, the sky, the hills and the sea, and then the gouache is over the top. So doing that little doodling, doing sort of like pattern for sky, and the little trees and everything, and I really love that piece, and that's exactly what it looked like. I'll put a photo up so you can see it, but we were on a little island for 4 days, and it was looking back at the mainland, and it was just every shade of green, and no one appreciated it because no one in my family does art, but I just couldn't take my eyes off it, and I went, I need to paint that. So I was really happy with that because I'm not really good at doing something abstract, and this is probably as abstract as it gets for me, but I was really happy with it. And then this one. So this one, as it says, well, let's get the colour right. Portrait. So this is going to be a sketchbook in portraiture. It's Stillman and Byrne. I don't know if I've got the... Yes, I do. Sketch. And it is 140 GSM. And it says for pencil and charcoal. So I knew that I'd be able to get away with a light wash, which I did. This is when I was doing the sketch in this book, and that's using the water brush pen. I must have used the water brush pen for the whole watercolour bit, and I just brushed it off. Was it that? I can't remember now. Anyway, yeah, so I did that first, and of course it took me about an hour to do, but that's okay. So there's 4 self-portraits, and then there's the start of a portrait of my son's girlfriend Mia, which I have not finished. I was doing it on the plane on the way back. So the idea behind this book is that I want to get better at drawing portraits, and I want to be able to get faster at drawing portraits, because I'm incredibly slow at everything I do, and I just wanted to improve. So happy with the style that I've gone with, which I've put down pencil to actually map out everything into proportion, make sure it's all right. Then I go to one pencil, and that's where I would start to use the polychromos. So one pencil and then watercolour over the top. Limited to my watercolours, which I showed you before, as to what colours I had. But I didn't want that to be a restriction. I wanted it to be colourful and reflect the colours I was wearing, etc. And I had these orange earrings in, and that's why there's a bit of orange reflected through there as well. So I was pretty happy with that one. This one, my dad said looks scary. I can't remember the reason why. And also someone else said it looks like I've had a bit too much sun. But the thing is, like the actual photo of me, and I'll put it up on the screen so you can compare it. I might do that with all of them. Is that I think my chin was like a little raised. So the bottom part of my face does look larger than the top half. But that's because of the angle of the portrait. And this is what's going to happen when you're taking photos of yourself to reflect. Does it look like me? No. I think that looks like me. Don't know if that one looks like me, but anyway, doesn't matter. This one definitely looks like me. I'm really happy with this one. The only thing I wasn't happy about was the Caran d'Ache Luminance pencil. So as it turns out, ooh, that might have been a bit loud. Of all the colours I took, I did not take a blue, and I wanted to do a blue pencil portrait. And then I wanted to use that blue watercolour, the ocean colours, to do the watercolour of. Love this one. I actually found it more difficult having sunglasses on than having eyes to draw. There's something about the eyes that just put everything into proportion, and to not have them did sort of throw me a little bit. So it did take me a little bit of time, but I'm really happy with it because this one looks like me. This one does not look like me. This one was done after the awards night. So we went to Fiji for my husband's team conference, and there was a big awards night, and my husband and his team really cleaned up internationally. They won a lot of awards, and they have you get your dinner and you've got a drinks list, and there's your standard, your beers, your wines, your sparkling, and then they also threw in one choice of cocktail, and that happened to be my very favourite cocktail of all time, which is I was going to say a cosmopolitan, that comes a very close second, but a margarita. So it was bottomless margaritas for the whole night. I didn't have to go anywhere afterwards apart from back to my room. I don't know how many I had. We had a good night. I handle alcohol really well. I don't sort of suffer the next day from it. But I was sitting by the pool the following day feeling, hey, it's time to get into another self-portrait. And it just took me forever. I really, really struggled. And this is what I mean by not having those colours, not being able to have sort of like the greys in your watercolour palette. I ended up with blue hair, which is fine. I don't mind that. But it just doesn't look like me. And I don't like it at all. And the pencil which I chose, which was, I think it was this one here, 129, Pink Madder Lake. It was a little bit light, so I really couldn't get the dark, so that's why it looks a little bit washed out. And then the last one, which is the one I did on the plane, and why I needed that purple pencil to remain separate from the rest of them, is because I managed to get this sketch done in about 30 minutes, and then I was just starting on the eye, and they said, cabin crew, please be prepared for landing, and they put the seatbelt sign on, which means you've got to put your tray table up, and you've got to, everything preparing for landing. So I got an eye done. So I will continue that on, and it's a big fat book, so there's going to be a lot of portraits being done. I did forget one sketch, which I just realised. So we were standing waiting for the ferry to pick us up from the little village that we went and looked at. And I just did a blind contour of a banana palm. And I really like how I did that. I did that in the Tom's pen as well. So yes, both this one and that one were done in my Tom's calligraphy pen. So there we go. There we go. There's the snapshot of Fiji. Thanks for sticking around, and I will link everything that I spoke about in the notes below in the detail. And I hope you have enjoyed that, and that has helped you in what you want to pack when you go away on a holiday. It doesn't have to be overseas, but this was 9 days. And there was a 3.5 plane flight, well, apart from the 2-hour wait that we had as well. But there was travel time on the plane where I could draw, and obviously on the holiday as well as like being with my family and doing stuff with them as well. So it wasn't just all me sitting drawing, but it was a lot of the time, and I loved it. All right, thank you. See you next video.